And now, from the IBA at Winchester, engineering announcements for the radio and television trade.
Hello and welcome to another bulletin of announcements for the radio and television trade. Widescreen, higher definition television more like the cinema. Is it a pipe dream or a practical possibility?
Also today, good news for those interested in the distribution of satellite programmes on master aerial systems. And there's the usual roundup of terrestrial transmitter news, including Channel 4 latest, and full details of new relays at Urdiston in the West Midlands and Wattsville and Machanapa in South Wales.
One of the big talking points in television engineering at the moment is that of higher definition television, possibly based on more display lines and wider screens. The IBA has recently demonstrated its own system here at Crawley Court, and Paul Copel asked Pat Hawker how it looked.
Well, this was in fact the enhanced CMAC system, which was explained on engineering announcements only a week or two ago. And yes, most impressive demonstration. It is a most interesting system because it is fully compatible with the CMAC system, 625. It is still basically a 625 line system, but it will give you the aspect ratio of widescreen 5:3, and the definition is such that you can go very close to the screen and still not see the line structure, and yet at the same time doesn't involve very, very high cost studio equipment and so on. We've shown that you can get much better pictures out of fairly standard modified studio equipment meant for 625 line use.
But I think if you ask most people, they'd say they're perfectly satisfied with the television reception they get.
Well, the cinema certainly showed that the impact of wide screens is much greater than that of the standard 4:3 ratio pictures. And I have no doubt after watching 5:3 ratio television that this would be a great improvement. But of course, all these schemes are really based on the idea of having better display systems in the future, much bigger screens than we have at present, and flat screens that will show the results. And one of the things of it is to equal the sort of definition that you can get on cinema film, and to allow people to sit relatively much closer to the screen than they can do at present and still not see the line structure.
Now, I know at the moment this is really being developed for satellite systems, but will this have any overspill into terrestrial systems, do you think?
Well, the whole question is really a matter of video bandwidth. Now, certainly the systems that have been advocated by the Japanese, for instance, 1125 line system, you could not get that into a single satellite channel unless you go to a further digital processing system, which they call Muse. And they have demonstrated Muse as a very high definition system, capable of going to a single satellite channel. But unfortunately, and it does seem to me to have a major defect on Muse, is that it's not compatible with an existing 525 line or 625 line receiver.
But what about the actual screens? I mean, we've talked about the system which the IBA has developed, but what about the screens? I mean, they've got to be brought to a price that is within consumer range. Are the screens available now, or will they be soon, and will they be priced realistically?
Well, at the moment, you can get quite good results on some of the projection television systems, fairly big screen projection systems, but they are fairly pricey, but they are just about within range of consumer things. But really, the future of high definition depends on either producing cathode ray tubes that are bigger diameter and suitable for widescreen use, and that does involve a number of problems. But most people think that the real future lies in solid-state displays, and that, of course, is still some way away yet, but we all expect it will be arriving before the 21st century.
Well, thank you, Pat. Already available from low-power distribution satellites is a range of programming intended for use on large cable systems. Up till now, government regulations haven't allowed these programs to be relayed over the smaller master antenna television systems, as found in blocks of flats, for example. However, Department of Trade and Industry Minister Geoffrey Patty has just announced that the government now proposes generally to grant licences allowing MATV systems to carry programmes from low-power satellites, but subject to certain safeguards. Licences will also be granted for direct reception of low-power satellites at individual houses, but the size of the dish required will put most people off, as will the necessary planning permission. We'll have more on all this next week.
Transmitter news now, and we start with more existing relays to be fitted with Channel 4. In Scotland, Rothesay began radiating the news service last Friday on Channel 32, and also its dependent relay Largs on Channel 49. Also on from last week, Sutton Row in Wiltshire on Channel 32, and also Cane Hill in Coulsdon, Greater London on Channel 68. Those 4 relays have now all got Channel 4. Due this week, in Lancashire, Haslingden, which will bring the news service to about 22,000 people on Channel 29, and Whitworth on Channel 32, serving 5,500 people. And expected in a week or two, Worley, also in Lancashire, on Channel 53, and Chingford on Channel 48.
Special announcements next, starting in the north, where Pontop Pike and Corbeck are both liable to reduced power and occasional interruptions until about the end of July. This is for major aerial maintenance.
In the southwest, Stockland Hill is also affected by aerial maintenance, meaning periods of reduced power and occasional interruptions until about mid-July.
The same applies to Broffa Mountain and Londonderry in Northern Ireland, where half aerial work at both stations is due from today until next Wednesday.
Similarly, at Gartley Moor in the north of Scotland, aerial maintenance should begin today, lasting until the end of next week. Reduced power and some interruptions are expected.
And only slightly further north still, Rose Hearty is off today between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. on ITV and Channel 4.
4 more relays were due off this morning for electricity board maintenance: Cop Hill, Aberdare, Halifax and Winterbourne Stickland. Transmissions are due back by 12:30 at the latest.
Tomorrow, the Glendovredy relay in North Wales is to be off between 9:30 and 4, again for electricity board maintenance.
On Thursday, Tideswell Moor will be off until midday for aerial maintenance, and both Pencadder and Abergavenny are due off between about 9 a.m. and midday for work on the electricity supplies.
New relays now, and 2 stations came on the air last week. In Surrey, Mickleham, just south of Leatherhead. London ITV and Channel 4 are on 58 and 68 respectively, aerial group CD and vertical polarisation. In County Tyrone, Gleneddy Valley with ITV on 23 and Channel 4 on 29. Aerial should be group A and vertically polarised. Those 2 relays are now on the air.
Near Risca in Gwent, the aptly named Wattsville relay is due on the air within the next few days. The main coverage is for about 900 people in Wattsville itself and along the valley to the west, including Newtown and some southerly parts of Cross Keys. However, further coverage has been added to the north, in fact just east of Cwmcarn, and it's in that extra small area that we particularly urge people to use the new Wattsville relay as soon as possible, because any substandard pictures which they have previously been struggling to receive could be marred by inter-channel interference with the switching on of the new relay. ITV will be on Channel 60 with S4C on 53. Aerial should be Group CD and vertically polarised. That's Wattsville, due on the air this week.
Near Tenbury Wells in Hereford and Worcester, the Urdeston relay is also due this week. It's for about 325 people in Urdeston itself, Stockton-on-Team, Alderton and Stamford Bridge. The relay won't help people in the Newnham Bridge area. Central and TVAM programmes will be on Channel 61 with Channel 4 on 54. The aerial to use is a Group CD mounted with the elements vertical. Urdeston is due on the air later this week.
In mid-Glamorgan, Machanappa, delayed a little, is now expected this week. The station is designed to cover just over 900 people in the lower area of Machen, mainly to the south of the railway line. HDTV Wales and TV AM will be on channel 62 with S4C on 68. Group CD aerials should be used vertically polarised. Mach and Upper is due on the air later this week.
Due in a week or two, Settlescombe near Battle in East Sussex. ITV and Channel 4 will be on 23 and 30 respectively, and vertically polarised Group A aerials will be needed. And also Trevechan near Merthyr Tydfil, where ITV will use Channel 42 and S4C 49. Aerials will have to be Group B and vertically polarised. Those two stations are due on the air in a week or two.
And that's it for this week, except for the address to which you should write with any queries on independent broadcasting. The telephone number is Winchester, that's 0962 822 444. Join us again next Tuesday at 9:15 or 12:15 for more engineering announcements. Until then, from Janet Smythe and from me, John Lovell, goodbye from Crawley Court.